headquarters this season. Watch all the games on their giant screen TVs and tackle the area's best game day food and beverages with all your friends. Get in on all the hockey and football action this winter with Pin Play and ESPN Bet. Hollywood Casino's online sportsbook is now live in Indiana. Score big this season at Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg. However you want to play. Must be 21 or older. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-9-WITH-IT or text INGAMB to 53342.
Supplements are everywhere, but how do you know they're working or not hurting? What if you could get custom-made supplements with the exact ingredients and dosages that work for you? Meet Viome, creator of the world's most advanced microbiome test. This isn't a food sensitivity test. This tells you exactly what you need to eat and avoid based on your body's response to over 370 foods. Viome uses cutting-edge RNA and AI technology to analyze your unique biology and creates a personalized plan to optimize your health. That's not all. They create made-for-you supplements, biotics, and oral care products, all tailored specifically to your results. Whether you want to improve energy, increase focus, or lose weight, Viome offers a personalized plan to help you succeed. It's easy to get started, all from the comfort of your home. Take control of your health journey today and reap the benefits long-term. Visit Viome.com to learn more and get $110 off any test using code IHEART. That's Viome.com. Viome. Your health evolution starts now.
That looks perfect. The feeling of getting ready for the holidays, there's nothing like it. Decorating the tree, accessorizing the table, adorning your walls with festive decor. What could be better? Whether you're doing the hosting this holiday or just enjoying some much-needed downtime with your favorites, at Ashley, you'll find all the things you need to make your home as jolly as can be at prices that slay. Spruce up your space for the holidays with Ashley. Visit your local Ashley or shop online at ashley.com.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived. The only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com, and use promo code JUSTSPORTS to get a welcome bonus up to $100 and be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 or older and present in Ohio. If you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up, then spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
From the Clements Heating and Air Temp Star Weather Center, here's your forecast.
This report is sponsored by Audible.
Starting off this morning in the low 20s, so not quite as cold. We do see a lot more cloud cover today, and temperatures, though, back into the 40s. We'll top out around 45 with rain chances late in the evening. That's your 9 First Warning forecast. I'm meteorologist Cameron Harden.
Get immersed in new worlds and ideas with Audible. Explore an incredible selection of audiobooks, podcasts, and originals, all in one easy app. There's more to imagine when you listen. Sign up for a free trial at audible.com.
From the ESPN 1530 studio. Powered by Madewell Restoration. Greater Cincinnati's roofing and exterior restoration experts. Madewell Restoration.
This is 1530 WCKY,
Cincinnati.
the 50,000-watt orange and black home of the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati's ESPN 1530.
This is SportsCenter.
Good morning, I'm Doug Brown. Monday Night Football caps off NFL Week 16. The 10-4 Packers host the 5-9 Saints at Lambeau Field. Green Bay clinches a playoff spot with the win. 8 Eastern for the coverage on ESPN and ABC. Shohei Ohtani of the Dodgers wins the Associated Press Male Athlete of the Year award for the third time in 4 years. Only Lance Armstrong, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods have won the award 4 times. Former Georgia Tech wideout Eric Singleton Jr. transfers to Auburn. He's ESPN's top-rated receiver in the transfer portal. We've got a bowl doubleheader kicking off right now on ESPN. First, the Myrtle Beach Bowl, and that'll be followed by the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
This is Greeny with Mike Greenberg on ESPN Radio. Plus, you can listen and watch on the ESPN app.
The Detroit Lions continue to do Detroit Lions things. And what is that? Well, just stack W's. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and tune in. We're presented by Progressive Insurance alongside Gabe Neitzel. I'm Q Myers in for Greeny. And, man, I'll tell you, the Detroit Lions, even though they're riddled with injuries, they continue to find ways to win games. Their offense is phenomenal. Ben Johnson continues to put out the best resume as potential head coach for one of these teams that is going to need a new head coach once the offseason hits by just doing incredible type things. And Jared Goff continues to, throw touchdown pass after touchdown pass after touchdown pass, including this one right here. Check it out.
Goff's under center. Gibbs stumbled and fell off the play fake, and it doesn't matter. Goff to Sam Laporta for the touchdown. 21 yards away. Laporta was wide open.
Steve Levy on ESPN Radio on the call. Goff to Sam Laporta. And the thing about that, Gabe, that wasn't a stumble. That wasn't a fall. That was actually a trick play that worked to perfection.
Well, it was a play that they saw a couple of years ago from something that Jordan Love and the Packers did, but Jordan Love actually fell. Like he slipped in as he was trying to do it, and that set off Ben Johnson's crazy, professor mind of, what if we actually put in a play where our running back falls down and our quarterback pretends to trip? And then we run a play off of that, and that's what they did. They took the play that the Packers accidentally ran that worked out, and they ran it against the same team, the Chicago Bears, and they got a touchdown out of it. And that's, again, Ben Johnson just in his bag, showing why he's one of the best offensive coordinators, one of the top head coach candidates in the league, because if this team is going to continue to have the success that they want to have, if they want to do what Dan Campbell was pounding his chest and shouting about last week, that despite all these injuries on defense, it's going to have to be on this offense. And it puts a lot of pressure on Jared Goff and everybody on this offense. And you don't want to put in too much because, it is the Chicago Bears. But, okay, you've got questions about Jahmyr Gibbs. Can he be the feature full-time back, or is he just somebody that's, able to be good because he splits carries with David Montgomery? Well, he was able to answer that question yesterday. 23 carries, 109 yards, and it's not like he did it with one big run. His long was 12. Jared Goff continued to be nearly perfect at quarterback with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. It all comes down to this offense, and if they can continue to put pressure on the opposing team's offense to keep pace, that's how they're going to be able to help out their beat-up and banged-up defense.
Gabe, think about this. Think about how sick and twisted you have to be to decide. Seriously, if I'm another team, I'm like, you are sick and twisted. You put a mistake, a true fall down, you put that in your playbook as a play and practiced it to the point of you were comfortable enough to execute it in a game.
Is that the most disrespectful play?
Between that, the Chiefs at Allegiant Stadium, they did the ring around the Rosies to the Raiders.
That was pretty. That
was pretty disrespectful too. But think about that. You, like I said, you've got to have some sick and twisted minds, and that's what you are as a play caller, a play designer, right there. Whatever. Sometimes some play is going to come to you, or you're going to see something, and you're going to, build off of that, and that's what the greats do. They don't stay stagnant, and that's why everyone's so high on Ben Johnson, because he decided that's going into the playbook. Matter of fact, here's Jared Goff kind of explaining the play a little bit more.
Work on it all week. We ran it probably 3 or 4 times through the week, and the genesis was that's a good for that scheme. It is, but they're in tune with it on defense. That is a good play, and it's hard to get that on them because those linebackers are so dang good at seeing it develop. So at first it started on Monday with Ben asking me if he thought I could actually fumble on purpose and pick it back up. I said, I don't know about that, and we kind of got off that pretty quickly, and we're like, let's just pretend we're falling or pretend I'm fumbling and I'm holding on to the ball. And I think the part that Gibbs where he dives really sells the play. I'm only doing half of it, but it worked. It worked like a charm, and was nice to score there.
If they would have kept it the original way that Ben Johnson wanted, if you fumble on purpose and then run the play, then it's the most disrespectful play in NFL history, right?
Facts.
Like that's okay. We fumbled on purpose to throw you off and then score a touchdown. And it was, Goff, he did a pretty good job selling. I was a big fan of Gibbs just diving on the ground. And that was WWE style selling by Jahmyr Gibbs, the way he went down. I thought that, again, as Goff said, that absolutely sold the play.
But the way that he dove, Gibbs that is, the way he dove and then rolled and bounced right back up, so he was in position to block. You know what I mean? It's like, what in the world is going on? That's what I said. And look, Ben Johnson wanted him to fumble. So when I say that you're sick and twisted, it's not being disrespectful. That's being honest. Like, that's a sick and twisted individual that wanted you to fumble on purpose. Think about that. Ball security is the number one thing in the National Football League, and my man wanted him to fumble on purpose to sell a play.
Do you think – I love that's the question. Ben goes, hey, Jared, I got an idea for a play, but you got to fumble and recover it. How do you feel about that? And Jared Goff, by the way, Jared Goff did the right thing. Jared Goff said, no, that is too far, Ben. That we are going too far if you were asking me to fumble and be able to pick it up. Because how many times have we seen people try to pick up the football and not be able to do it? That's a recipe for disaster. But instead, they end up selling it the way they ended up selling it and ends up being a fun play against a bad opponent in the Chicago Bears. But again, it just goes to how good and how advanced this offense is. The fact that they have already set a franchise record of 493 points, and you've got 2 games left. Like, this isn't, they're going to set a franchise record because they added a 17th game. No, they only took 15 in order to get that. That's how advanced this offense is.
Yeah, it only took them 15 games to get 13 wins. Think about that. 13 wins for the Detroit Lions. There was times where they wouldn't get 13 wins in 3 seasons, let alone get 13 wins in 15 games. But that's where they're at right now. And as a matter of fact, it's a race for the number 1 spot in the NFC. You've got the Lions in there at 13-2. The Vikings, same division, 13-2. And then there's the Eagles there at 12-3. You're talking about a real deal race for number 1 in the NFC.
Yeah, and for the Vikings, they're very much alive. And that game in Week 18 could determine, that could be a huge game. Because both these teams are already in the playoffs. But to go from the 1 seed, if you lose that game, to drop all the way down to the 5 seed, to go from, we're only going to have to win 2 games to reach a Super Bowl, to I have to win 3 and they're all on the road because I'm on the 5 seed, that is just that would be an unbelievably big game if the Vikings can take care of business and the Lions take care of business next week against their respective opponents to set up a winner-take-all in the NFC North game in week number 18. I think everybody believes in the Lions a little bit more, but the Vikings, with each passing week, you have to believe in them. Maybe you don't want to believe in them in the postseason because we haven't seen Sam Darnold do it in the postseason. But as good as Darnold has been, you have to believe that they've got an opportunity to beat the Lions because they almost did earlier this season. It took a last-second field goal for the Lions to come away victorious.
The funny thing about it is I feel, and I kind of feel bad, and it's on me. It's not on anybody else but me. It's my own fault. It's just because of what I know in my head, and I keep waiting for it to revert back. Like, I still... The Vikings are 13-2, and I'm still saying, but, right? Like, I keep saying, but, and I'm waiting for the shoe to fall on Sam Darnold and what he's been able to do. I feel like the Vikings this year are what the Lions were to me last year. I just kept waiting to say, okay, well, something's going to happen because it's the Lions. That's how I keep feeling about the Vikings. And I should have learned, Gabe, last year when Detroit did it and proved that they were for real. I should learn that the Vikings are for real. And instead, I keep saying, but what about Sam Darnold? You know what I mean? Like, I don't have 100% faith yet.
And why would you? Sam Darnold, the body of work that he has had in his career, going from the Jets to Carolina, we didn't really see him last year with San Francisco.
Yeah.
The body of work isn't there. The body of work is he's a meme that everybody makes fun of from him pointing to the camera from a Monday Night Football game all those years ago. That's the legacy of Sam Darnold. Now, he's done a tremendous job of switching that around, and Kevin O'Connell's probably going to win Coach of the Year because the Vikings were written off after J.J. McCarthy had his knee injury, and they were expected to finish last in their division, and they're still very much alive for that number 1 overall seed. That being said, I mean, this is how important I think the number 1 seed is for these teams. I think the Eagles could still make a Super Bowl, potentially win a Super Bowl as that number 2 seed. But because of the penalty of not winning your division for this other team, whoever wins the NFC North, that's the only team I think from the North that can win the Super Bowl. Because I think
they're at home.
Yeah, because they're at home and they only have to win 2 games. The Lions are so beat up. Them having that week off and getting a little bit healthier is going to be imperative for them. Instead, going on the road right away, that would be tough. And for the Vikings, I'm with you. I am going to continue to naysay Sam Darnold because of that's who he's kind of shown us who he is. Okay, he's done it in the regular season. He's never played a postseason game. Can he handle the pressure of the postseason? And the easiest way for them to handle that pressure is if they are at home and they have that number 1 seed. So that's how important I think that number 1 seed is for the Lions and Vikings. Whoever ends up with it is the only team I would pick from the North to potentially go to a Super Bowl and represent the NFC.
So what that means is that when it's all said and done, we are hoping beyond a shadow of the doubt that it's a Week 18 matchup for that number 1 spot. Right, we're hoping that it all plays out where it's the Vikings and the Lions in Week 18 in Detroit, basically for the number 1 spot. I mean, you want to talk about must-see TV? Everybody is locked and loaded, and all eyes will be on Detroit.
Yeah, I promise you that would be the Sunday night game.
Facts.
I promise you that would be the Sunday night standalone game, Week 18, number 1 seed on the line in the NFC, because I cannot think of a game that would have any more meaningful, even though both teams are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that's how important the number 1 seed is to both these teams.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to see these 2 teams on display as well and just showing off what they can do. And again, I've got to give Sam Darnold and the Vikings a lot of credit. I just want to see what it's going to end up looking like. Like I said, I know that they've had so much success. I just keep wondering if when push comes to shove in a game like that, right, when everything is on the line as far as, the number 1 spot, that being on the line, is he going to be able to come through as clutch as he's been able to come through so far throughout the course of the year? And, you've seen moments in games where he's been fantastic. You see moments in games where it's a little slower for him to get going, and then all of a sudden they get cooking. So in a game like that against a team like the Lions, who could put up points like it's going out of style, you can't get off to a slow start. If you get off to a slow start, you might not be able to get back in that game because they might run away from you before you know it.
I think it's... Look, maybe we may have to. He may force us to believe in him because he's going to have that opportunity. Because the only way to get that number 1 seed is to win your next 2 games. If you're Minnesota, and granted, you do control your own destiny. You win those 2 games, you're the number 1 seed. You're playing the Packers, and then you're playing the Lions. Like that is you win those games back to back.
Right.
I think you're going to have to force us to believe in you, even though you haven't done it in the postseason. Because those 2 games to close out your year are about as close as you can get to playoff games without actually being in the playoffs.
It's funny. As soon as you mentioned the Packers, and I know that obviously you're there and your boots on the ground when it comes to all things Packers. As crazy as it is, I mean that's a double-digit win team too, right?
Yep.
I mean,
they're sitting there with 10 wins.
What a tough division this year. Oh, my goodness. What an incredibly tough division that is.
It's the greatest division of all time because, the Packers sitting there with 10 wins. There's not a team in 3rd place that has ever had a season like the Green Bay Packers have had. We've seen teams, certainly, divisions have 2 wild card teams and get in. But the Packers have an opportunity to be, an 11, 12-win team. I mean, if they win out, they're going to have 13 wins and still finish potentially in 3rd place. If they win out, they would have 3 teams in the division that would have 13 or more wins.
That's wild. That is wild. And then everyone's looking at the Bears like, hey, what are y'all doing down there? What's going on with y'all?
Hey, why can't you guys figure it out like the rest of these teams?
Man, that is just nuts. I mean, just to know the kind of season that they're having, and that's still a 3rd place team based off of what, the Vikings and the Lions have been able to do. And obviously those 2 teams will battle it out for the number 1 seed. Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be a great race to the finish, I do believe, and especially there in the NFC North. And obviously the Eagles got, something to say about things as well. But, whoever represents it in the NFC, going deep into the playoffs and eventually the Super Bowl being there in New Orleans, they're going to earn their trip to New Orleans because that's going to be a tough road.
Yeah, it certainly is. And even though I'm not writing the Eagles, the Eagles I don't think are going to get that number one seed and have things fall their way after their loss to Washington. But I don't put that much into that loss at Washington without Jalen Hurts, right? And yes, the defense didn't play up to their potential, but when Jaden Daniels just does what Jaden Daniels does, that's sometimes as a defense in the NFL in 2024, you just got to shrug your shoulders and go, hey, that guy was better. We've ignored how bad the Bills defense was for a couple of weeks, and we're ready to crown them as one of the best teams. That's the way it is in the NFL in 2024. You're not going to have 17 games where you hold opponents to 20 points or whatever it is. So I don't put that much stock into that game. Great win for Washington, but I still think that Philadelphia is one of the best teams in the NFC.
Great win for Washington, and if you're Philadelphia, make sure you have Jalen Hurts. You need Jalen Hurts moving forward. You know what I mean? You got to have your guy.
You're basically locked into that 2 seed at this point, so do everything you can. If you have to be extra precautious, do so to make sure that you have Jalen Hurts ready to go for the postseason.
He's Gabe Neitzel. I'm Q Myers. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance flexes to fit your business needs. From quick repairs to adjustable coverages and even payment options, Progressive Commercial makes it easy to get what you need. Quote today in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Speaking of home field in the playoffs, it was everything in the first round of the expanded college football playoffs, and we'll tell you why next. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Georgia versus Notre Dame.
There's a different feel to the playoff.
Boise State versus Penn State.
The intensity that gets ratcheted up.
Oregon versus Ohio State.
The stakes get much higher.
Arizona State versus Texas. The college football playoff quarterfinals on ESPN Radio and ESPN.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season. I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text CHEST to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text CHEST to 42424. That's CHEST to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
You found Cincinnati's ESPN 1530.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived. The only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com, and use promo code JUSTSPORTS to get a welcome bonus up to $100. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 or older and present in Ohio. If you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, it's Mo Egger. It's open enrollment season. Are you looking at one of those ACA Obamacare plans? Stop. Health insurance is complicated, as you know. Everyone's situation is different, and there's tons of options to choose from. When planning health insurance for you and your family, you've got to consult an expert. John Ruhlman at Cover Cincy is that expert. He has been helping people get the right coverage at the best rate for years. Cover Cincy's plans are available year-round, and all outpatient services have a $0 deductible. You choose your doctors and hospitals, and it's 30 to 60% lower cost than Obamacare. If you pay for your own health insurance, if you're uninsured, or if your employer coverage is too expensive, call John, an expert with over 20 years experience at 513-800-2255. That's 513-800-2255. Or go to covercincy.com, a premium personalized plan managed and designed by you, not the government. Covercincy.com.
Skyline gift cards make great last-minute gifts. Now through Christmas Eve, you'll get a free $5 gift certificate when you buy $30 in Skyline gift cards at participating Skyline restaurants. See store for details. Feeling good. It's Skyline time.
Light up the season with savings at Kelsey Chevrolet. Now's the time. Chevy lights up their best year-end sales incentives, like 0% APR or up to $5,750 total cash allowance on select new Chevys. Merry Christmas and happy holidays from our family to yours.
JCPenney's Super Saturday sale has last-minute gifts and bigger savings for everyone. This weekend through Christmas Day, wrap up your list with our biggest doorbusters. Grab men's dress shirts and pants, now buy one, get one free, in-store only. Scoop up the coziest sweaters starting at $12.99 and get warm Sherpa throws for $14.99 each. Dash away with all the right gifts, all the right prices, all in the nick of time. JCPenney, make it count. Offers valid 12/20 through 12/25. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Here's a gift card idea that is twice as nice. Give tasty Penn Station gift cards, and when you buy online, you'll get a free sub and offers for yourself that lasts into the new year. Only at pennstation.com. Hurry, this tasty offer won't last long.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-5795. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Indoor baseball, anyone?
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Mo Egger. Join us this afternoon at Twin Peaks in Westchester for the Tony and Mo football show as we talk about yesterday's Bengals win over the Browns and so much more. Starting at 3:05 on ESPN 1530 Cincinnati Sports Station.
An early gift for the holidays was the 12-team format college football. The first round of the playoffs, the weekend was going to be phenomenal when it comes to college football. Excitement, energy, potential upsets. Nah, it didn't happen. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and tune in. We're also on iHeartRadio app and your smart speaker. Just say play ESPN Radio. Alongside Gabe Neitzel, I'm Hugh Myers. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. And Gabe, I was so looking forward to this first round of the college football playoffs. Starting on Friday, Indiana, they've had a phenomenal season. Going to be taking on South Notre Dame. Penn State was going to host SMU. Fantastic stuff. Texas hosting Clemson. Ohio State hosted Tennessee. I knew there had to be an upset there somewhere, right? We've got all these teams in, a lot of controversy. Should they be in? Should they not be in? We didn't see any of that, brother. We didn't see any of that. And I knew immediately by looking at the games, watching them, seeing the results, I knew the immediate conversation was going to be, see, that's why those teams should have been there. I knew that conversation was coming, and it has arrived.
Well, but shockingly, we didn't want to have that conversation about Tennessee. Why did we not want to have that same conversation about Tennessee? Because they got their doors blown off.
Yeah.
They showed, if you think that SMU and Indiana showed that they didn't belong, then Tennessee did the exact same thing because they gave up 42 points. And guess who gave Ohio State a better fight in Ohio Stadium earlier this year? That's right. That would have been Indiana. Right. So everybody was talking their game. Everybody was talking, from Lane Kiffin all on in the SEC. Everybody wanted to talk about Indiana and SMU, but suddenly the tweets, I don't know why, Q. Maybe it was because it was Saturday night. They had better things to do. But suddenly the tweets stopped coming out after Tennessee, the SEC darling, got their doors blown off by Ohio State to conclude the first round of the college football national the playoff.
Yeah, it was something that we all tuned in. We were all excited for, to see what it looked like. And clearly my expectations weren't met. I wasn't mad. I knew it was the first year of the 12-team format. So it's not like I looked at it and said, this is how it's going to be all the time. And I didn't want to overreact one way or the other. But I did think that we were going to see a lot more competitive games that we didn't get to see.
Well, but that might be that might, because I was with you, so that might be on us, Q, because I found this interesting. Matt LePay, who has done, he's the voice of the Badgers on the Badger Radio Network here in the state of Wisconsin, tweeted this out before the final two games. In the four-team college football playoff era, 14 of the 30 games were decided by 20 points or more. And that includes 5 of the 10 championship games. So expecting more out of letting worse teams into the college football playoff, maybe that's on me for expecting more. Right. Because guess what? When it was 4 teams, a lot of times these games weren't all that entertaining. A lot of times these games weren't coming down to the wire. And maybe that's on me for expecting more, because I thought there were a handful of teams more that could win the college football national championship this year. Maybe I was wrong about that, and it's still only a couple of teams that have really separated themselves and can actually win this national championship.
No, I'm right there with you. It was probably on me as well. I set myself up for expecting a lot more than we got. And you're right, with all those blowouts that we had seen when it was just a 4-team format, right, this is kind of par for the course. But with more teams in it, more reasons and arguments on why they should be in it, the expectations were raised. But Mr. SEC, Paul Feinbaum from the Paul Feinbaum Show, was on the 7 a.m. Sports Center and talked about the committee and the decisions that they made, putting the teams in that they did.
They made so many mistakes, but let's start with some of the most obvious, like Indiana and SMU. They looked at the gaudy record and they forgot to look at, have they beaten anyone? No. Neither school beat anyone. Meanwhile, schools like Miami, and Alabama and Ole Miss and South Carolina were sitting at home while we had to be subjected to unwatchable games. Seriously, Friday night was laughable. Saturday morning was laughable. And you know what? Last night wasn't much better, but Tennessee at least beat someone, for all the critics out there who want to say they didn't belong to.
No, they didn't belong. They didn't belong. If those other teams didn't belong, Paul, I think the rest of them did not belong, because they gave up 42 points to Ohio State, whose offense couldn't move the ball against the University of Michigan. Like, don't just because you're the SEC homer, like, oh, well, I guess Tennessee belongs. No, Tennessee belongs exactly in the same conversation as everybody else. What are we going to do in the future, Q? Are we going to leave out an 11-1 team from a Power 4 conference because they didn't play anyone? It's not Indiana's fault when you blow up and overbloat every conference in the country to the point where we got rid of, it's no longer the Power 5, it's now the Power 4, because one of the conferences had to get picked over because everybody's valuing money over competitive balance and integrity. Guess what? Somebody's going to have an easy schedule. It's going to happen. Someone's also going to have a gauntlet that they have to run through. Yeah. But if they can't survive the gauntlet, they don't get to go in because they beat one team and lost to 4 other ones. You can't complain about being in a 12-team playoff if you leave some doubt. Alabama, you lost 24-3. Like, there's no guarantee Alabama would have been competitive in any of these games. You lost 24-3 on the road to a bad Oklahoma team. You don't get to lose to a 4-win Kentucky team at home as Ole Miss and then complain about not getting in. Like, you left the door open to have these other teams get in there. If you don't lose those games, chances are you get into the college football playoff. These SEC schools have no one to blame but themselves. I know we wanted to be entertained by these games, but the fact of the matter is there just might not be 12 teams that are actually worthy to play for a national championship in college football.
Yeah, I mean, very real. It really easily could have probably been 8 teams, right? Maybe 12 teams was too much, but I mean, they're there now. They're not going to reduce it. They're already at 12, so now you got to work with it. But I'll tell you, Gabe, as soon as I saw the results of these games, as I'm watching them, I know that somebody. Look, I'm an Alabama fan. I enjoy watching Alabama football, but I'm the guy that's been saying it for months that they're not a playoff team because they've been inconsistent all year long, right? I mean, you beat Georgia, and then you take an L, the next week, and then you barely beat South Carolina, and then you take that bad L, like you mentioned, to Oklahoma, where you only scored 3 points. I guarantee somebody there in Tuscaloosa was saying, well, we could have put up a better show than this, right? Yeah, but you didn't earn the right to be there, right? We could all say that, but you didn't earn the right to be there because you still didn't handle your business when you were supposed to.
I think the way, I guess, to quote unquote fix this if you win your conference championship, if you're one of those 5 highest-ranked conference champions, you get in the field. You don't necessarily get a bye the way we see with Arizona State and Boise State. And
Boy,
maybe
you want to
that
think about pressure. You think Boise State ain't got some pressure? If they all go out there and put up a hell of a performance, man, then all of a sudden it's going to be like, see, why are they there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Man.
Exactly.
Yep.
Same thing with Arizona State. Yep. Even though, again, these are conference champions. We could put those teams in the field. Maybe they don't deserve a first-round bye, and different teams end up sliding into those spots, and maybe you can manipulate those first-round matchups to be a little bit better. But look, I mean, do you think?
But why do we? Let me ask you this, Gabe. Yep. Why is college football the only sport that we critique like this? And what I mean by that is, if the Miami Heat play in the play-in tournament and they happen to get into the playoffs and then they make a run to the finals, it's like, man, look what Jimmy Butler and the Heat have done. Man, they have, against all odds, they've gotten to the finals. Or if you see a team like the Arizona Diamondbacks in baseball, well, they got hot at the right time and, oh, man, they went on a nice run. Or insert anybody in any other sport, it's like, that was great. That wild card team just made it to the Super Bowl. But then in college football, it's like, nah, they don't deserve to be there.
Yeah, even though I think, again, these teams earn their way in. It's so hard because, well, part of it is a lot of these teams don't want to play an actual full conference schedule, right? Like the SEC only wants to play 8 conference games. But no, I mean, up that. If we're going to have these mega conferences, let's take advantage of it, and let's actually have a full conference. Let's have every conference play 10 conference games, and you get 2 non-conference. I think that leaves less room, because if you do that, that leaves an opportunity for a team like Indiana to actually play Ohio State and Penn State on their schedule instead of just one of them. So once we decide to do that, then I think we can have an honest conversation. Teams don't want to do that. Conferences don't want to do that. And until we do that, it's just going to become all this subjective stuff. And, well, Alabama would have been better. Ole Miss probably would have even won. And it's amazing. I think the SEC, I mean, they're like 125-0 in hypothetical matchups, Q. It's unbelievable how good the SEC is in these hypothetical matchups. Like, they've never lost. It's unreal. It's unbelievable how good they are in every hypothetical matchup.
I love it. I'll tell you this. I got a word of advice for next season or next year. Matter of fact, in the first round, you need to be the home. If you're the home team in the first round, you're probably going to win. Notre Dame, check. Penn State, check. Texas, check. Ohio State, check. Yeah, there you go. All the home teams. So if you get that home field advantage, you're playing in your stadium, good chance that you're advancing.
Oh, yeah, that ended up being a huge advantage, and it was something I think that certainly factored in. I think a lot of special teams really struggled in the colder weather, which is not something, even for teams in the Big Ten, they're not dealing with that. Yes, they can practice in it, and they can prepare better for it, but as somebody who lives in Big Ten country in the state of Wisconsin, let me assure you, the cold we experience in mid to late December is a lot different than the cold we experience in late November. All right. Yeah. I can promise you it is a lot colder this time of year. And for teams like SMU to have to travel to Happy Valley and deal with that at Penn State, that was a huge advantage for the Nittany Lions, because even though they haven't necessarily played in weather like that, they can prepare in weather like that.
I was surprised. I'm not going to lie, man. I was surprised that Penn State put it on SMU like that. But again, I think the weather had played a big role in it as well. SMU just didn't look like they were very comfortable at all from the jump, and they looked like they should have been playing out here in Las Vegas where I'm at, where today, Gabe, I'm not trying to brag, but it's supposed to be 70 today. I'm just saying, it's supposed to be 70 today.
Hey,
it's late December,
here,
brother.
It's like 29 degrees here, man. It's supposed to be balmy in Milwaukee.
It was like 10 degrees here in Connecticut.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no thank you. Wow. No thank you. Again, it's supposed to be 70 today.
All right, we heard you first.
But that's what teams are used to playing in this time of year, because every bowl game is, it's in Florida, it's in Vegas, it's in California. Sometimes they're in the Bahamas, right? And that's what they're used to being able to do now. And if you expand this, if you end up adding, because I think that's what we're all waiting for, right? We're all waiting for 4 more teams to get added to this, and we're going to have a 16-team college football playoff. You're only going to add to the potential home field advantage of having games games on campus, which I'm glad they ended up having a home field advantage, even though a place like, the Horseshoe had 35-ish thousand people from Tennessee pour in. That was something I was curious to see, how many fans actually stick around during winter break, how many students are going to be in the stands. I think for the most part, a lot of these atmospheres ended up delivering despite those questions.
Yeah, I thought that was really, having those games on campus are fantastic. And it's funny talking about the weather. And of course, week 16 in the NFL gets wrapped up with Monday Night Football. As you very well know, Saints at Lambeau. And we're talking about the weather. The Saints are actually preparing by putting their quarterback in the freezer to get ready for Monday Night Football at Lambeau. So you want to talk about some weather, right? Teams that aren't used to being in the elements are doing everything they can to try to prepare for the elements. That's funny.
Because what are you supposed to do if you're in New Orleans? You go outside. Like, you can't turn on the air conditioning in your practice facility to make it, 35 degrees or whatever inside. So it's a creative way. It's the first time I've ever heard a team trying to go to Green Bay and Lambeau Field to do a walkthrough in their big, freezer that's available in the kitchen. But I doubt that ends up helping the Saints going into tonight's game.
It's going to be a tough one. As a matter of fact, the Monday Night Football preview is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Progressive makes bundling easy and affordable. Get a multi-policy discount by combining your motorcycle, RV, boat, ATV, and more. All your protection in one place. Bundle and save at progressive.com. And Gabe, you're our guy, man. Boots on the ground. You know all things in this matchup right here. Green Bay hosting New Orleans. Is this potentially a game where Green Bay feels like, we got this one, and overlooks the Saints that are coming in with a backup to a backup quarterback in the 4th-round pick and Spencer Rattler getting the start?
Yeah, it kind of feels like it could potentially be a trap game for the Packers, especially with that matchup against the Vikings looming. But it's been a young, hungry team, right? And I think that Matt LaFleur is going to make sure that his team continues to remain focused, and they're going to stay true to who they are offensively. And that has been, this is weird to say because it's only been a handful of times in the last 30 years where the identity of the Green Bay the football. When you have Favre, when you have Rodgers, and then the way Jordan Love has played through his first, almost 2 seasons at this point, throwing the ball is what you want to do. But Josh Jacobs, Q, as special of his of a player as Josh Jacobs is, they have just been able to turn around and hand the football off to him, throw it to him a little bit, and he has been by far their best player offensively. Everything they want to do runs through Josh Jacobs. He wants it to be that way, and the Packers want it to be that way. Against the Lions, the Thursday after Thanksgiving, they got away from him a little bit. I thought, maybe they overthought it of, okay, the Lions know we want to run the football. What if we just started pass it early? They got off to a slow start, eventually got Jacobs back into it, and by then it was probably a little too, and they ended up losing the game. They fought their way back in. I don't think Matt LaFleur is going to make that mistake again. They are going to grind out Josh Jacobs early in this game in an attempt to put away the Saints early.
The funny thing about you bring up Josh Jacobs, and obviously I know him very well from his time with the Raiders, but him going there to Green Bay in free agency, that was such a great move for Green Bay, especially when Jordan Love was out. Right, I keep going back to the games right after the first game in Brazil, right? Jordan Love gets hurt at the end of the game. You think, oh, man, Malik Willis has only been with the team for a handful of weeks. Now he's going to have to be the starting quarterback. What are they going to do? And Matt LaFleur and company went to Josh Jacobs and really made him, the identity of the team, and they've stuck with it for the most part throughout the course of the season, and it's really paid its worth, no doubt.
And when you think about when the Packers went on the run that they did last year, they won their last 3 games of the regular season and then won the game in Dallas against the Cowboys. Aaron Jones was a huge part of that offense. He had over 100 yards in every one of those games. So I think the Packers want to continue to try to recreate that of, with Aaron Jones, he's getting a little bit older. I don't know if we can trust him and hand the ball to him 20 to 25 times a game. Let's go get a guy we can do that with. And that's exactly what they did. And especially when they focus on giving Josh Jacobs the football, it opens up their play action game, and I think that's what's allowed Jordan Love, who's now healthy, to really blossom and bloom the way he has, not throwing an interception in the last 4 games.
When it comes to Jordan Love, is the sentiment, as long as, again, going back to sticking to their identity, as long as they stick to the script and stick to the recipe, is this a product that can not only get into the playoffs but make a run with the way that it's set up right now?
Yeah, the problem I've had with the Packers all year is they are, for the second straight year, the youngest team in the league. There's a lot of talent there, but they also make mistakes at inopportune times, whether that's mistakes in the red zone, a penalty that costs you now instead of being, a holding penalty, instead of being first and goal from the 5, it's first and goal from the 15, and it's harder to score touchdowns. They've cleaned that up a little bit, but against the marquee opponents, against the Lions, they just had inopportune penalties or turnovers, and they just could not overcome that ultimately against Detroit. And that's the thing I fear with a team that is still the youngest in the league, having to go on the road in order to make a Super Bowl 3 games in a row. Can they avoid mistakes and be consistent 3 consecutive weeks? But the talent certainly is there. Like, the Packers should scare anybody they play because the talent is there with Jacobs and Love and some of the talent like Xavier McKinney, who's another big free agent pickup for them on the defensive side of the football. The talent is certainly there. The question with the Packers is, can they be consistent enough where they can overcome some of the mistakes that they make and do so on the road against high-quality NFC playoff opponents?
Tell you what, I like what Matt LaFleur is doing. I really do. Respect the hell out of him. I mean, it's one thing when you have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. Like, okay, that makes sense. You're supposed to be really good, right? But then when you go into a new era and you've got Jordan Love and you're trying to put it all together and you have that very young team that you're talking about and you're still being able to put it together and have double-digit wins and potentially, if you win out the season, could be at 13 wins, you've got to give Matt LaFleur a lot of credit. I know nobody talks about him for Coach of the Year, but anytime you win 13 games in a season or even have a chance to, right, especially with the adversity that the Packers have gone through, you got to tip the cap to the head coach.
I'll tell you what, I don't think LaFleur gets enough credit for his time with Rodgers as well, because part of the reason he was brought in is because Rodgers' numbers were starting to decline under Mike McCarthy, and he won half of his MVPs with Matt LaFleur as his coach. Like, he got Rodgers back to an MVP level, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Week 16 in the NFL is going to wrap up tonight, and Week 17 will start in 2 days. We'll look at some of those games next. With Gabe Neitzel, I'm Q Myers. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio.
It's bowl season on ESPN Radio. 25 bowl games, including the college football playoff and national championship game. The electricity, the atmosphere. Coverage continues tomorrow with the Hawaii Bowl at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code EXIT25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code EXIT25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code EXIT25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
ESPN 1530, Cincinnati Sports Station.
Experiences make life more meaningful. And with MasterCard's Priceless.com, you can immerse yourself in unforgettable experiences in dining, sports, art, entertainment, and more in over 40 destinations. From a round of golf with a legendary player to a cooking class with a celebrity chef, you can feel your passions and create lasting memories. Explore experiences today at Priceless.com, exclusively for MasterCard cardholders. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, Ohio, Prime Sports has arrived. The only book where you can lay 108 instead of 110 on all your favorite teams. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey. Why would you risk more to win the same amount at another sports book? Download the Prime Sports Ohio app or visit our website, primesportsbook.com, and use promo code JUSTSPORTS to get a welcome bonus up to $100. And be a member of the Prime Sports family.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit website for details. Must be 21 or older and present in Ohio. If you or anyone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Supplements are everywhere, but how do you know they're working or not hurting? What if you could get custom-made supplements with the exact ingredients and dosages that work for you? Meet Viome, creator of the world's most advanced microbiome test. This isn't a food sensitivity test. This tells you exactly what you need to eat and avoid based on your body's response to over 370 foods. Viome uses cutting-edge RNA and AI technology to analyze your unique biology and creates a personalized plan to optimize your health. That's not all. They create made-for-you supplements, biotics, and oral care products, all tailored specifically to your results. Whether you want to improve energy, increase focus, or lose weight, Viome offers a personalized plan to help you succeed. It's easy to get started, all from the comfort of your home. Take control of your health journey today and reap the benefits long-term. Visit Viome.com to learn more and get $110 off any test using code IHEART. That's Viome.com. Viome. Your health evolution starts now.
Chris Hodge here, host of the Sports Investors Daily Radio Show, sponsored by TakingVegas.com. Tune in every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. local time for today's top free pick on a recorded line. Call 888-9-WIN-NOW, 888-994-6669.
This holiday at T-Mobile, I'm joined by a special co-anchor.
What up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Snoop D-O Double G.
Snoop, let's talk about T-Mobile.
Okay, cool.
This holiday, get 4 lines for $25 a line, plus 4 iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence and the all-new camera control on us.
Let's get cracking, like a breakfast egg.
You can use those eggs to make some eggnog, Snoop.
Respect.
And people do love T-Mobile, where you can save on every plan versus the other big guys when you switch.
You know, y'all can take some of those savings and buy some Snoop merchandise.
Always a great stocking stuffer, Snoop.
We up out of here.
Hold your horses, Snoop D-O Double G. Let's remind people one more time.
Head to T-Mobile.com and get 4 iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us, plus 4 lines for $25. Now drop that J.
With 24 monthly bill credits for eligible trade-ins and 4 new lines without our pay. Well qualified customers plus taxes and fees and $35 per line connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits or credit stop and balance on required finance agreement is due $999.99. Credits end if you pay off device early. See how you can save on wireless and streaming versus the other big guys at T-Mobile.com/switch. Apple Intelligence requires iOS 18.1 or later.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
This holiday season, visit Boot Barn for top quality gifts that pay tribute to the lasting heritage of the West. From handcrafted cowboy boots and American-made felt hats to leather jackets, our in-store experts will help guide you as you shop, assisting with boot fitting and providing complimentary hat shaping. This holiday, share a piece of the American spirit. Boot Barn. Unwrap the West.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
I'm Shanola Hampton. I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
The Bengals battle the Broncos. Coverage starts Saturday at noon on ESPN 1530, the official home of the Bengals.
Chiefs are 26th in the league in red zone offense touchdown percentage. Mahomes on the far hash in the pocket, stepping up and trying to squeeze through space on his feet. 10, 5, Mahomes is into the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas City on that bad ankle, stepping through the pocket, running all the way to the sweet nectar of the end zone.
Ankle? Bad ankle? What bad ankle do you talk of? That's how it's standing on 96.5 the Fan, Patrick Mahomes, 15-yard rushing touchdown. That was on Saturday versus the Texans. It's Greeny on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and tune in. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. You ever want to be a part of the show, you can always hit us up on the Dr. Pepper call-in line at 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. And Gabe, when it comes to Patrick Mahomes and bad ankle this, bad ankle that, it's so funny, man. We fall for the banana in the tailpipe all the time. He ain't going to be able to go this time. He's too banged up. It's not looking good. He should probably sit out. And he continues to say, what bad ankle? I'm fine. Having that 15-yard rushing touchdown. What was that? The longest of his career, I believe. So, yeah, he looked just fine. He's good to go.
Yeah, and again, he's dealt with this high ankle injury before. I was of the thinking of, well, maybe you don't play him against the Texans. They've got two really good pass rushers over there. He's going to be immobile, and I know you're going to want to get the ball out of his hands quickly, but still, do you want to take that risk? You've got the cushion against the Bills, and none of it mattered because he looked like he was perfectly fine. Navigated around, and everybody in the AFC, if you weren't already scared of the Kansas City Chiefs, because you should be, like, they're just getting better and better offensively. The way the year had started for Patrick Mahomes and the turnovers that he had, that seems to be a thing of the past. And especially with Hollywood Brown getting healthy, and they got him some manufactured touches around the line of scrimmage, it seems like they're going to follow a little bit of a different blueprint than what they did a year ago. Yes, they still have Travis Kelce and trust him, but now they've got more of a two-headed monster in the backfield with Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. And then on the outside, all right, we don't have Rashee Rice who we trust, but we've got some speed with Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, so we feel good about those guys. And, oh, by the way, we still have DeAndre Hopkins who can get us a clutch 3rd and 6 catch. So they just have more weapons that they trust this year, and they're starting to become more and more comfortable with one another. That's going to make them dangerous, especially after they grab the number 1 seed.
Well, the fact that they just make the play when they have to, right? Again, it's not something that's necessarily the most pleasing on the eyes. It's not necessarily something that looks like a well-oiled machine, but when push comes to shove, more times than not, they make the play that they have to make. I thought going into that game, because Patrick was a little bit banged up, that offensive line hasn't been where it needs to be, that this was the opportunity for the Texans to strike. Okay, they'll be able to take advantage of it. It's going to be tough because it's on the road, but they'll have an opportunity. And for the most part, they did, right? I mean, they hung around. That injury to Tank Dell, man, that was devastating. You saw the reaction from C.J. Stroud, who was just about in tears, and the rest of the Texan teammates. They were devastated. And to Tank Dell's credit, he still catches the touchdown pass, even though his knee was basically wrecked after that. It was a scenario that you knew was all bad. Their kicker comes out and immediately misses the extra point afterwards. I have a feeling that had a little bit of the Tank Dell effect on it. He was still a little bit, rattled by what happened, and I'm not trying to make an excuse on why he missed the extra point, but once he missed that extra point, I thought, yep, this game is going to go the way of the Kansas City Chiefs for many different reasons, but they always seem to come up with the play that they have to.
And it's unfortunate for the Texans, too, because they were without Tank Dell last year after he had the tough injury where he was blocking near the goal line and had the leg injury there. So I think that was kind of double of, man, this guy had another really tough injury, and now he's going to be out again, and they just felt for their teammates in that moment. But the Chiefs, like you said, they're always going to make the right play. I understand that some of this one-score winning streak that they're on, there's going to be some luck that's involved. When something wacky happens and the quarterback's not ready for the snap and it's a fumble and you jump on it even though they're moving down. But a lot of it is Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are just better than you, and they're going to make the right play at the right time, and you are not, because that's what these two have done for the better part of the last 6 years, and they're just going to continue to do that in the postseason. Their offense, like you said, it hasn't been aesthetically pleasing all season, but I think they took this another step in the right direction to score 27 points. They're going to be a team that nobody wants to mess with, especially at Arrowhead, as they continue to get more reps with Hollywood Brown, now that he's healthy, Patrick Mahomes. And I'll tell you what, shout out to Joe Tooney, man, for kicking out to tackle. That's really hard to do. And he held up at a tackle position, something that not a lot of people are asked to do, go from being an interior lineman all the way to the outside. You go from having help to being on an island, and he held up incredibly well when the Chiefs' offensive line needed him to.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm still concerned about that offensive line. With that being said, I'm still concerned. Like, that's the one area when and if the Chiefs lose a game, in the playoffs, and if they don't get to New Orleans, they don't win the Lombardi for the third year in a row, I'm going to look back and say, I think that the reason why they're going to lose is because of the offensive line. Like, that's still concerns me, only because Patrick has been hit so many times. Has been sacked so many times this year. If something's going to get him off his spot, similar to what we saw when Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, is all that pressure. So that is the area that I still want to watch and pay attention to say, if there's a hole in their game, it's not the lack of offensive weapons. It's not the fact that it doesn't look that pleasing to the eyes. It's the big uglies in front, not quite holding up as much as they should be.
So because of that, do you think that the Ravens and the way that they looked and finally getting that win over the Steelers, are they potentially more of a threat than the Buffalo Bills? Because the Bills don't have the best pass rushing numbers.
I still think it's the Bills. I think the Bills are the better threat, only because I feel like the Chiefs have the Ravens number for some reason, right? I mean, there's certain teams that just have your number,
and you don't understand why. Number, Q.
That's
the Chiefs
true.
have everybody's
That's
number.
True.
Like they scored a field goal in 13 seconds against the Bills. Like they got the Bills number too.
That's true. I know. I just feel like this year Josh Allen's going to end up being the MVP and take that next step. But again, we all say that, we all analyze it, we all break it down, and then it's the same thing each and every year. So there's that. Hey, don't worry. Gabe and I, we ain't going nowhere. You're with us for the next 3 hours, and we're with you for the next 3 hours. Carla vs. Joe is next on ESPN Radio.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text EQUAL to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text EQUAL to 321-321. That's EQUAL to 321-321.
I love spreading joy with gifts this time of year, but I try not to spread my budget too thin. Luckily, Kohl's has come through for me once again.